Greetings, groovy people! Welcome to Blue Dragon Art, where I, the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, like to talk about independent art projects, either within the indie realm or anything that's like a tutorial or tip, as well as my own free not safe for work webcomic, Dark Horse. The links for that are down in the description. This week, I want to share 5 tips that may help with your workflow. And what I mean by workflow is like you're wanting to work, taking obstacles out of the way of you getting down to business and getting to work on the projects that you want to work on. This is, as with anything, as a disclaimer, just my personal opinion on things that work for me. And if there are things that work for you, I would love to hear about them down in the comments. Welcome to my new subscribers. Let's get right into this. Tip number 1 is to prep things ahead of time. Prep the things that you need to work ahead of time. To give an example of this, something that I do for myself since I work on a large Bristol board now, I like to cut down the pages to 8.5 by 11. So that's something that I will prep ahead of time. I'll take a couple pages, just measure them out, cut them down, boom, have them in a stack. They're ready to go when I need them. If I have the urge to work on something right then and there, I am ready to do so because I got my stuff prepped. Another example is making sure that I have water for my dip pens and for my brushes whenever I'm using them. Keeping things prepped and ready to go helps make things easier for me whenever I've got that itch to work on things. I don't have to waste time looking for my tools or prepping my tools. Tip number 2, keep your space organized, your workspace organized. Like if you have a desk, for instance, I keep my things organized and placed in a specific location so that I know exactly where it is. And I put these back in that specific location. Usually, not always. So that whenever I am done, if I just do it immediately, I don't have to worry about doing it later in the day or searching for where the hell I left my shit last time I used it. Along with that, keeping things organized is also keeping it cleaned up, which kind of dovetails in with the keeping your things prepped and ready to go to work. Cleaning is part of the prep, but it's also part of keeping things organized. So keeping my desk organized and decluttered so that I'm not constantly pushing things off or having to search for the things that I need, and keeping it in a specific location so that I know exactly where it is when I want it. Tip number 3 is have a comfortable setup. Whatever that means to you, you can define it in whatever terms is comfortable for you. Some people like to sit in a comfy chair with their tablet and work on art. Some people like to go outside and relax and maybe sit in a chair or on a bench or something and work. If that's comfortable for you, that's fine. For me, I used to have my desk laid flat, but recently I've had it put on a tilt so that I can kind of be a little bit more ergonomic with my back. I have my chair set to a comfortable height. I have things in a location where my arms, I don't feel uncomfortable working. I'm not knocking things off the desk because I have things out of the way of where my arms move when I'm working, so that's more comfortable for me. Any obstacle that you might have that's coming between you and working is something that you might want to reevaluate and keep an eye on. For me, it was, making sure that my space is organized and at a comfortable level. You don't have to spend a lot of money to make your desk comfortable, to make your desk organized. I have things that my partner 3D printed for me, but I also have pieces of cardboard boxes that I've cut up and designed to fit my tools that I need and keep things in place so that they're out of my way and comfortable. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can repurpose things that you're going to throw away or you're not using. In my actual workspace that has all that stuff, my cardboard box, my ink water, my extra inks and stuff, that's just part of a bamboo flatware holder that I didn't need. I didn't have enough space in our utility drawer for our forks and spoons and stuff. So we just removed that part, and instead of throwing that bamboo away, I use it to keep my desk organized. You don't have to spend a lot of money at Office Depot, Office Max, Amazon, wherever you buy your things. You don't have to do it in an expensive manner. You can keep it neat, and hell, if it's a project that you want to do, you can maybe even paint it up and personalize your things for yourself. But at any rate, making sure that it's comfortable, organized, and inviting for you to work when you have that notion to get to work. Tip number 4 is to take breaks. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but if If you're in a flow state and you're really enjoying yourself, then don't feel the need to take a break. But if it's one of those deals where you're working and you're just pushing yourself and you feel yourself burning your candle at both ends, it's important in order to breed a healthy relationship with the work and projects that you're doing to make sure that you're taking breaks for both yourself, your loved ones, your family, just getting away from your workspace and maybe taking a walk with your pets, or maybe taking a walk with people that are your friends, just getting out for a little bit, taking your meal breaks. Don't skip your meals. I'm not like a dietitian or a frickin' coach or anything, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that it's not good for you to be skipping your meals for the sake of working on a project. You're going to be a lot more likely, in my opinion, to work and complete things if you aren't completely exhausting yourself, if you are giving yourself breaks so that you have the energy to work on things. Again, the caveat is if you're in that flow state, which I have been there before, where I just sit at the desk all day and maybe get up for the bathroom, get up to eat my meals, and that's it. If that's enjoyable for you at that time, that's cool. You know, who am I to tell you what to do? But I'm just saying that if you're putting too much pressure on yourself, you can't really do that all the time. It's really probably better for you to take a few, like maybe 5 or 10 minute breaks when you feel yourself getting really stressed out, so that you feel a little more refreshed and can come back to your work and aren't feeling like what you're doing is a punishment, if that makes sense. Tip number 5 is to create a habit or something that is kind of like a ritual for you, so that it feels you have the muscle memory and it feels right, because this is your schedule and this is the order in which you do things, and it kind of like just falls into place when you do it like that. I'm going to give an example, and some of this has to do with like a book that I read like at the end of last year or at the beginning of this year or something like that. But it's stuff that I found myself kind of falling into naturally anyway, so maybe it just kind of confirmed my bias a little bit. But in the mornings, I have a little ritual. Every morning I wake up, I get my cup of coffee, I put my oat milk in it, and I sit down. And I'll either read a little bit of a book, or I'll check my email and respond to things, or I'll read webcomics or whatever. But I give myself a little bit of time to wake up, and I don't usually leave that seat unless I'm really itching to work on a project. I usually won't leave my comfy chair until I've finished my coffee. And then I'll get up and I'll, shower and get ready for the day, and maybe I'll have breakfast a little bit later, and move into the office at that point. But it's a ritual. It's kind of a habit for me. I get up, I get my coffee, I sit down. Once I'm done with my coffee, if the dog's up, I take him out, then I go into the office, and that's when I start working on my other projects and whatever needs to be done in whatever order. So it kind of becomes like a habit, and you start having that flow where you're like, okay, I know I got to get ready for this, or I know this is how it is, and you're expecting it, if that makes sense. It's just a suggestion. It works for me. I think it's not a bad suggestion. I'm not going to say that it's going to work for everyone, but that's a tip that I have. I also have a bonus tip, number 6. Keep a frickin' calendar. For God's sake, please keep a calendar. Because if you're doing a lot of projects, or if you're involved in a lot of things, it's very hard and mentally taxing to try to remember all those things without having them written down in a location where you can conceptualize when you need to have said thing done. I have both hard copy calendars. I have a chalkboard calendar. I have a calendar that I got for free from the Asian food store, one of the Asian food stores I go to. Again, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do these things. Your phone probably has an app with a calendar on it. But please do yourself a favor and keep a calendar of when things are due and when you need to probably check in with yourself and make sure you're getting said thing done. So those are my 5/6 bonus tips for encouraging productive work without stressing yourself out. But anyway, that's all I got for you this week. Until next Wednesday, peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.